na 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 na. La 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 la. La 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 la. Sailing around, singing songs till the night turns into day. Used to sing about mountains, but the mountains washed away. Now I'm singing all my songs to the girl that won my heart. She is only 3 years old and a real fine way to start. Oh yeah, sure is fine. I blow my mind. When the days are going down, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that was a lot of fun. That's tracked in the back room, the event room in Brighton Electric, using the Polar 4. This is Blackstar's new, I think it's guitar orientated, but very simplistic, easy to use interface. Here we have the Polar 4. 4 input, as you can see. I think, honestly, what I like about this is the dual headphones with independent volume control on the front. We've tracked, obviously, monitoring ourselves and then also monitoring for the drummer as well. 2 independent volumes, which are on good old-fashioned rotary controls. God bless it. This is the enhance feature, on and off here. We tracked with enhance on and with enhance off. You've got line, instrument, inputs here, individual gains, overall monitor. There's a MIDI in and out there. We've taken a left and right out and put it into the PA for the playback to get the room sound. So, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. It doesn't weigh too much, but it also feels pretty metal and sturdy. There is a separate power supply input if you don't have it powered from your laptop or you want independent power control, but we've just gone straight in, USB, straight into the laptop. So it's pretty straightforward. Sounds pretty darn good. I mean, I know it's designed for guitarists in mind, but, we're going to do guitar with Jamie on it. But also, of course, we've got drums here at Brighton Electric. And overall, Phantom on and off is from here as well. So really straightforward, really simple, does the job. It's really good for a guitar player's brain like myself. I hate things that have got screens and too many stuff to go through. This is straightforward. 4 independent gains. Line instrument switch, enhance on and off feature, overall monitor control here, independent control of 2 different headphones, meaning you can track with it and work with another musician. You've got outputs to go left and right. You can assign this additional one, which we have done, to go straight to the PA. Pretty straightforward, does the job. Oh, and MIDI in and out for the people that care. But I know a lot of people always ask for the MIDI in and out if they're trying to sync stuff for live performances. There you go. All in one box. Small, compact, and so far so good. Seems to sound really good. So, what do we have? This is a UT FET 47 clone, and we've got that on the kick. We pulled it back a bit. It's got a pad on it. Sounds pretty awesome. We've got a pair of 818s. That's the Austrian Audio 818s, OC 818s, which are awesome. And a 57 on the snare top. That is it. 4 inputs, 4 mics, that's the drum sound. But what we are going to do is take off the 818s, stick them in an XY in the middle of the room, and put the kick and snare through the PA to get some room mics. So in Brighton Electric, this is the live room. This is where bands play. So there's a PA here, and this is a PA facing the audience. So the room's pretty dampened down. So what we did is we put the kick and the snare and the overheads back through the PA, and now we're miking it with a bloom line, figure of 8. So it's recording front and back, and we'll get a nice stereo image and we'll blend it back in. Let's listen to the tracks. I did a mix on this pretty quickly. Just got here a little while ago and banged out a mix. Here's the Polar 4. We're monitoring through, we've actually got some beautiful speakers here, we've got some ATCs, but I don't really know this room very well. So it's been an interesting experience mixing in a room I don't know too well. And there's no sub with the ATCs, so hopefully the low end isn't too excessive. You know, when you're mixing into smaller speakers, you tend to overcompensate and, you know, you want to feel that kind of low end thump from the kick and the bass. And sometimes if the speakers don't reproduce it, you're sort of, you know, fighting a losing battle. But I feel fairly confident about this. So with James's drumming, we used a very, very simple setup because, of course, we have a 4 input here. So what we did is we reamped the kick and the snare back through the PA. So the Polar 4 has 4 inputs. It has an enhanced feature and a non-enhanced feature. The enhanced feature seems to be picking up a lot of like additional kind of harmonics and high-end, I would say, a useful thing to do on a really, really super dull sound. What we're going to listen to here, though, is not the enhanced drums. The main thing here is we did the 4 inputs, which was kick, snare, and 2 overheads. James Gillingham did the drums. Sounds pretty darn good. But we did decide, hey, let's now put it back through the PA. So we took the kick and the snare and put it through the PA and mic'd that up. Which is okay, but you can tell it's very scoopy sounding. You know, it's got, you know, a big driver, massive subs, ton, you know, horn just pumping out, you know, 7, 8, 9, 10K. So what I did is I added some EQ to it. Pretty drastic here, as you can see. I took out a ton of like low mids and then boosted the mid mids. So let's have a listen now. I did wipe out some lows as well. Might actually go a bit more dramatic here. Because I don't want too much low lows to interfere with the fact that I've got the kick doing that anyway. So here's it in context with the rest of the kit. Take the rooms out. Back in. So when you come to mix it, you can do either or. You could create your own reverb, which I've actually done on the snare. And I went as much as possible as stock. And stock for me is actually using the Waves REQ. They're pretty equivalent to any standard EQ you're going to get inside of your DAW. I just know them really, really well. But so here's the stuff I did. So here's the kick. Here's a before. Here's an after. So you can see I cut out a little this sort of 80 to 100 area to let the bass breathe. I pulled out a lot of like the 350-ish area, you know, to get rid of some of that stodgy kind of cardboardiness of it. And then I boosted like crazy the high end to get some more attack on it. For the snare, I did probably what you're expecting, a lot of low end and a lot of high end. So, you know, it's got about 150 here, but it's such a wide Q, it's pulling up a lot below it. And then here we've got, you know, 6, 7K, and again, boosted like crazy. Now, I did this because he tuned his snare quite high for the ring, which I loved. I wanted the snare to be offensive and ringing, like you can hear here. So once you put the guitars and stuff in, that all gets soaked up. But the only problem, as you can see visually, if you want to look for a second, you see there's not a lot of body in the snare with it being tuned that high. So that's why there's such a lot of low-end boost. And I think in ye olden days, they probably would have reached for a Pultec and just taken that 100 hertz and boosted like crazy. I know that because working with Jack Douglas, he would always have me put 100 hertz like crazy on snares just to bring up the body. And it's sort of typical because it's not necessarily that you're bringing up 100 hertz, but you're going below the fundamental low end and boosting below it so you get a nice soft shelf rather than just finding the fundamental low end and then boosting it. And then you get that kind of, EQ'd sound. Only other really dramatic stuff I did was on the overheads, got a bit of low mid cut out because of course the overheads are also the tom mics, but I did use Soothe too. So I did throw some money at this. It's not a cheap plugin, but we are a big fan of it. And I just wanted to be able to get the overheads loud so I could hear the toms. And, he was playing fairly aggressively on the cymbals, and that's typical with rock drummers. They're going to be a little bit more aggressive on the cymbals. So it meant that when the toms played, they might be ducked a little bit behind the cymbals. So I've got quite a lot of cut going on there. And then I compressed it. So if I find an area with some toms, for instance, so if I took that compression off, I mean, they're still there, but not as pronounced as when I'm. So it's just my way of helping those overcome a little bit. If you don't have Soothe or anything fancy like that, of course you can use a multiband compressor on the overheads, whatever takes your fancy. The last thing that I did was just create multiple buses on the drums for the sheer heck of it. So for instance, here is the first drum sub, which has got light compression on it. And light EQ. And I'm brightening it here just a little bit, and I'm adding a little bit of thump. So not a huge amount. To be honest, I could probably go a little bit higher. In fact, I will. That's about 5 or 6K. So it's not quite so harsh at 3.5K. I actually think that was a mistake. It's giving me a little bit too much of that harshness on the cymbals. So I'm actually going to go quite a lot above it here, like 8K. So let's have a listen. That's already better on the cymbals. So that was a nice little change. So that's a really soft compressed sound. And then I did the really attacky sound, which is quite aggressive compression, but with a slow enough attack that you're going to hear the kick and snare coming through really aggressively. Take a listen. So those tom hits, the kick hit, the snare hit is like bap, 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 bap. So it's nice and aggressive on the attack. And then last but no means least, I did a crush, which is exactly what you'd expect. So the opposite, what I did is got the attack as fast as possible, so almost no transient got through and it was just annihilated. Just adds energy, that kind of energy. It's just really, really great. Now put that together with the attack. Then with the clean drum sub, I got 3 going now. And then, believe it or not, took all of those 3 and bust them to 1. And I used an MV2 this time, which is a plugin I really, really love. What it does, it takes some of the low-level information and brings that up. And then, of course, the high stuff, the louder volume stuff, and brings them together. The MV2 is one of my favorite fix-all kind of plugins. It's really beautiful on bass. You'll hear it in a second on the bass. I love that long sustain on the kick. This is, a Zeppelin track. Bonham had a big kick sound. We didn't have a 26. We used what we had. So we're just trying to, make it feel like it was a 26. Now for bass guitar, it's a DI and then reamped. And Jamie played bass and guitar on this. My usual trick where I take the DI and I just use it for the low end. So if we have a listen here. That rolls off about 250, 260. Now, if you listen to the amp sound that he got, I did the opposite EQ. So I boosted all the mids and got rid of everything below 260. I even added some Sans amp. You can add whatever you like to distort it a bit more. And I'll use a bit of compression on it as well. The DI, which I'm using for the low end, I didn't mind getting a little bit more aggressive on it. I compressed it quite aggressively and I also limited it so that there's a consistent low end going on the whole time. I've got that set so even the softest note he plays hits the limiter lightly, so it's consistently putting out. It's just my way of controlling the low end. So those two together are then summed. And I've got an overall EQ where I don't really want or need anything much above 3K. I use the R bass, which I absolutely love. Take it off. And then once more, as I was explaining earlier why I love it on bass, the MV2. And that's going to take the low level information. You see, I've got it really cranked. So there's no stone left unturned. And the reason why I do that is just so that every little kind of, when it goes high, maybe it's playing a little softer, the low end's consistently there. With the drums. I think another thing you could do with the multi-tracks is maybe get in there on some of those tom hits and just bring them up. That's the wonders of DAWs, isn't it? We can get in there, we can turn up those things. But, the Glyn Johns method was just 3 mics, and we've got 4. We've got a kick snare and stereo overheads. And the snare is feeding a separate reverb here, which I've got set to 750 milliseconds. It's the medium room 2. It's been a standard one for me. My old drum room that I used for 10 or 15 years had about 3/4 of a second reverb time. So that to me is very familiar. Now, as far as the guitars and stuff are concerned, so Jamie was using the Blackstar plugins themselves, because obviously Blackstar are quite well known for those things over there. Guitar amps. So here they are, they're a guitar amp manufacturer making a unit designed for guitar players. And as you know from the recording part of the drums, we really dug how simple this is. It is definitely designed for guitar players. Designed for people like myself who will just look down and go, enhance button on and off, line instrument, gain controls, 1/4 inch and XLR around the outside, 2 sets of headphones. So we had 1 set for monitoring, 1 sent to the drummer. It was really, really dumb and did the job. And then you've got a global on off for the Phantom. Yeah, pretty straightforward, does the job. So here's the settings he used with the Blackstar pedals. It's got some compression, it's got some drive, it's got a tiny amount of chorus and phaser. So not too bad to say the least. It's got a St. James EL34. I don't know that amp in particular, but that was his main guitar setting. So here is the Blackstar amp, the St. James. I suppose, I don't know what that's modeled on, but it sounds great. EL34s, of course, would mean that it's a British sound. Typically, tubes, the valves, EL34s, you would associate with British amps, and of course 6L6s you would normally associate with American amps, but that's classic. These days, of course, doesn't matter where you buy an amp from, they're going to use the valves, the tubes, that they want the sound for, as opposed to this idea that, only America or only the UK uses, these particular tubes. So great sounding amp. You know, the simplicity of it, I think, is what really helped. So the only thing I really did on this, because it was all about, you know, the build of the guitar parts, was take off a little low end and cut out a little bit of harshness, about, you know, just over 2K, and boost around it. Not a lot. And that was only on the main guitar, but I did use the CLA2A, which, I don't know, really brings it forward and, to be honest, softens a little bit of the high end for me. Quite often I'm using compressors as EQs as well as compressors. Everybody loves Fairchilds because they seem to smooth out harshness and high end, as well as being amazing compressors. The LA2As do a similar kind of thing. So that's the guitar sound. A lot of his guitars had nothing done to them, but when I did the harmony guitar parts, I just fed them through a global group using the same EQ and then the same compression. So here's the main guitar playing, and then the harmony will come in. Check it out. Jamie's a real aficionado of guitar, if you know Jamie Humphries stuff, and those really weird but amazing Jimmy Page kind of harmony parts, he nailed them, and it works absolutely superbly. What I like is he's done all these stereo guitars as well, and I did add a little bit of reverb on a couple. This is, you know, have some fun with it, because you've got stereo guitars, you've got more of the effects on one side and a slightly drier sound on the other. The lead vocals are done by Thomas Vikström, who did a fantastic job. They're not tuned, not even comped, they're just the vocal he did, which is superb. I think it was in a slightly less than perfect scenario, so there's a bit of hum and bleed going on and all that kind of stuff. But you know what? That's what this is. This is a 4-channel unit that is inexpensive and designed for people, you know, to use on the go or use in home environments. So that's why we went and recorded drums the way we did, with limited amount of mics, and we did all these kinds of things. We're not trying to make this be something it's not. We're using, I mean, I know Sooth 2's expensive, but honestly, everything else is pretty cheap. So on the lead vocal here, I did the usual kind of stuff. Because it's a choir high, he's up here the whole time, I did put a little bit of body in here, about 250, 260. So probably a little more than I might usually. Compression, Sooth 2 did make an appearance. I'm not sure what the mic he used was. 2A, and then some more EQ, just because after I use the Sooth 2 and it's evens out the high end, I then boost the high end again, just so, you know, it's there. I'm trying to get rid of like spikes, but I don't want it to be completely dull. So, you know, now that it's more even, I can boost it. So that's the basic vocal setting. So have a listen.
Singing in the sunshine, laughing in the rain, hitting on the moonlight, rocking in the grain.
Just 2 effects. Oh, by the way, I just wiped off low lows on the vocal, on the reverb there. I don't need that. Might even come up a little bit higher. Again, stock reverb, whatever I'm using 3/4 of a second. Again, medium room 2 on Pro Tools. The tape delay, getting rid of low lows, because we found there was a bit of hum in the room that he was singing in. It, you know, exaggerated it.
Singing in the sunshine, laughing in the rain, hitting on the moonlight, rocking in the
So just a tape echo and a deverb. That is the vocal sound. So quite straightforward. So last but no means least, of course, is the master fader. Did use the T-Rex Classic EQ, which I've always liked on Master Bus, but not much. 1.9 dB, you know, at about 100 hertz. Yeah, 100 hertz. just a gentle low end boost. And then at 9K, just a high end, 1.7 dB. So a little bit of this, a little bit of smiliness, but not much to really speak of. MV2 was utilized. I just felt like, I think it's a $27 plugin. It seems to work really well for me. And there wasn't any other T-Rack stuff on this, or else I might have reached for the compressor or the clipper if I wanted more volume. So MV2 into L2. So that is our master bus. Great. There it is. So it's a great little unit. It really is. There's been a lot of people that have made guitar players units. And the mistake I feel like, and I know a lot of people have made the guitar player kind of units, and I think the mistake they often make is they try to make it into something that looks like a guitar thing, like put things on it that seem like guitar players, like pedals. I don't want to be too specific, but you know what I mean. They're tailoring it to try and look guitarish. I don't think that's what guitar players like myself or anybody I know looks for. We just want dumb. Because if you're playing and you're using plugins, you're using hardware, you're using whatever it is, pedal boards, whatever, you want this piece that you're going to be doing to be really simple and easy to use. And Josh, who I think is a drummer or a guitar player, maybe both, just was like, oh, this is really easy. And that was completely and utterly, just him offering up that opinion. And I think that's what it is. It is done specifically so that you can just look down and go, I want more gain. I've line instrument. It's laid out really easily. I like the simple white background with the black knobs on it, the black writing. It's dumb. It's really dumb, and it works. Oh, and it's also got MIDI, which is really good for those of you that want to use it in a live situation. And you've got MIDI kind of effects and stuff going on. I think they did a great job. I think they did something where they're making it easy for guitar playing minds to use without panning and pretend that it's got some kind of like fancy guitar thing in it. It just does the job really, really well. And I think not only are they going to sell to guitar players, they're just going to sell to anybody who's super busy, got a keyboard, got a guitar, whatever, working on something, and just wants to reach over and go, I need more volume. Boom. I need more gain. I need this, I need that. It's pretty nifty. I'll be honest, for a guitar amp manufacturer to come out with their first product as an interface, I think they did a really, really good job. And it's nice to have something else in the market because it's crowded, definitely is crowded, but it's good when something comes out and it's going to kind of kick the butts. A couple of companies, over the years have done that, and some of the old favorites have, been forced to update their kind of way of doing things. So I like this. I really do. But download the multi-tracks here for yourself. If you get a chance to demo one of these, please do. I think sounds great and it's easy to use. Rest is up to you. You tell us what you think. If you've already got one, because I know the 2-input one's been out for about a month or two now, and you've already got one and heard one and used one, please let us know down below. Don't forget, download the multi-tracks, mix away. Maybe you don't want to use those room mics because they have to too heavily EQ them to make them work. Maybe you just want to use the kick and snare, go through a reverb. I've thought about that myself when I was mixing it. Maybe you want to get in there on the toms and boost them up. Maybe the cymbals are too harsh for you as a result. Whatever works for you. Thanks, everyone. So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, au revoir, adios, goodbye!